Hello legends, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at Ethereum, the ISM, Bitcoin, institutional holdings and total crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin and stables. And let me tell you, we're in for a bullish one. So let's start with ETH. Where are we? Well, the 14-day RSI historically has always provided us some relief whenever we have got this low. We are currently the lowest we've been for this entire cycle. So even if you think it's done, even if you're a bear, not that there'd be any bears watching this because this is not for them, but if you are a severe bear, you would have to admit, or at least be open to the possibility, that sometime in the very, very near future, there is more than likely going to be some relief. Why? Because historically, every single time, even in the middle of the bear over here back in 2022, there was some relief. Bear in mind that RSI now is a lot deeper than it was here as well. So very positive there. I am expecting some relief, as I say, coming up in the next, hard to put a time frame on it, isn't it? But let's give it a couple of weeks. Let's see where we are in a couple of weeks. But for now, that's very positive in my mind. The ISM. Now, obviously, we know Rao has covered this extensively, so I'm not gonna try and reiterate what he said. I'm not the expert on this, but it's just a great chart to always go back to when you're nervous or you're finding yourself lacking a bit of patience. It is just as clear as day how these cycles work. Even when we look at the comparison of how this cycle has moved. Very steady, slow grind up, as opposed to previous cycles where we get these huge fluctuations and you see these parabolas form, both here and here as well. Hence the 4-year cycle, the 4-year cycle, the 4-year cycle. But it got pushed out by a year, didn't it? Because of the TGA rebuild. But we know next year the Fed more than likely are going to cut rates. Trump's on record saying that the next Fed chair likes rate cuts a lot, or likes lower rates a lot rather. We know the Fed have got to print $7 to $8 trillion next year as well. So knowing all of that, looking at this, does that look topped? It doesn't at all. In actual fact, when things get moving, since 2013-14, the peaks have got even higher. So keep that in mind. Bullish. DeCRYPTion.com, great website, cracking metrics over here. Bitcoin institutional holdings. What I've found the most interesting here with this metric is that from so far the Pico bottom, this has been on the uptick. So institutional holdings have increased. This isn't hopium, this is fact, this is data, which is why I like metrics so much and share them so heavily on my page, is because they're unbiased. They just give you what is. And this is suggesting, not even suggesting, this is telling us big money is buying the dip. Very nice to see. Wrapping up with total crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin and stables, very similar story to ETH. Whenever the 14-day RSI has got down here, cancel. This is the weekly RSI. Whenever we've got down here, some relief has followed. Not only that, we're holding its multi-year trend line. And if I just move myself up here as well, you can see we recently reached the lowest it's been since the Pico bottom back in 2022. So, you know my stance. I am bullish. I do think it all depends mainly on what Bitcoin does in the coming weeks. Everything does tend to follow the king, doesn't it? But if we look where we are, my worst case scenario, as you know, for Bitcoin, is we come back down here before we then see a push higher. What I would much rather is we just sweep this low and then we see a nice push higher. But either way, in my mind, we're going higher. Regardless, hope you got something out of this video. If you've got any questions, please leave a comment. And in the meantime, trade safe, keep the faith, stay bullish. Cheers.